You're listening to On the Job with PORAC, hosted by PORAC President Brian Marvel and Vice President Ben Therriault. On the Job with PORAC is your go-to podcast for insights into the challenges and opportunities facing law enforcement professionals here in California and across the nation. Our goal is to provide an inside look at these issues from the perspective of officers who risk their lives to protect and serve their communities.
Welcome to On the Job with PORAC, your inside look at the pressing issues facing law enforcement in California. I'm Brian Marvel. Joining me today is our new PORAC Vice President, Ben Therriault. We thought this would be a great opportunity to delve into his past experiences and what he's doing now and how he came to be the new PORAC VP. So welcome here, Ben.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Happy to have you as the new VP. Obviously, with Damon Kurtz retiring, it opened up an election, and we had two candidates. I do want to thank Roger Garcia out of Oxnard, POA, and Ben competed for the position, and Ben wound up becoming the VP. So fantastic job on that. I know it's a lot of work when you're running for a statewide organization, having had to do that myself several years back. Much more contested race back then than it was this time, but happy you won and happy to have you up here. So why don't we talk a little bit about your, what got you into law enforcement and, how did you come out to California?
Yeah, so I've been interested in law enforcement since I was a little kid. I grew up on the Flathead Indian Reservation, which is in western Montana. My father taught Native American Studies at the Tribal College, was involved in tribal politics, and was a tribal council member and tribal chairman. And so because of that, the reservation is kind of like a large county government, and I had a lot of interaction with tribal police, which are kind of like they did everything. They had they obviously did law enforcement, but they were also, they did kind of a community services, and then they almost game warden, type duties as well, because the job called for a wide variety of things. So I had a lot of interactions with them as a small kid and a young man, and it just motivated me to get into law enforcement. And I joined the Air Force at 17 with permission from my parents, like a lot of Native men and women do. And also I came from a military family, and so I chose a path of military police because I wanted to get into law enforcement.
So with you joining the Air Force, I'm assuming maybe the Air Force brought you to California, or how did you wind up out
so
here?
The Air Force, I was stationed out here in California at Beale Air Force Base, and then I had 3 deployments during that time. I joined in 2017, and I got out in January of 2007. So during that time, if people recall was the global war on terrorism and the Iraq War. And so I had several deployments, including deployments for the Iraq War, spent time in outside of Basra, spent time in Baghdad during that time.
So with you, I'm assuming Beale was your last duty station. You got out. And then you decided to join the Richmond Police Department?
I got out in the recession when it was extremely hard to get a police job. And unlike now where it's very, completely flipped. And I was living in the Sacramento area, and it was just hard to find jobs. And I found a place called the Richmond Police Department because I had some friends who had also got out of the military and landed there. And I decided, I'll go check it out. I didn't really know anything about Richmond at the time, and or law enforcement in California, really. And so I applied, got hired, and actually was sponsored, which was like unheard of at the time. And it was a great opportunity.
Well, that's awesome. And obviously with that move, brought you to us at PORAC. You sat on the board of directors before running for president. Getting a little bit of taste of what it was like and dealing with the issues that we dealt with. And now being the vice president, what are some of your thoughts, goals, aspirations? I know you've just taken over, and sometimes it's hard to ask that question because you really just try to absorb the information. And, we laugh a little bit about it. You're drinking from a fire hose.
For sure.
So just in the time that you have been up here, what are some of the things that you feel like you would like to move forward with and goals and maybe some accomplishments, maybe just to finish out this year?
Sure. I think finishing out this year, working on good recruiting retention within and driving attendance in chapter meetings and ensuring that folks have good opportunities in training. That's like the short-term immediate focus, recruiting and retention. And then I think long-term, like to expand on those things. I want to get more folks involved in training, expand the classes that we offer, what types, and then expand the ability to help people work within the PORAC structure. I mean, we're a bottom-up organization because we're a confederation of POAs and DSAs and CAL FIRE and other limited members. And so the opportunity to participate in PORAC is great, and I think that needs to be worked on tremendously because we can have a lot more involvement so folks know all the benefits and the things that PORAC offers and get that message out and help folks build themselves up locally and accomplish what they want to work on, their salary, benefits, working conditions, and then ultimately the legislative issues that we talk about here and work on. I want them to be a part of that.
Yeah, and I think what's unique about your position, especially coming from Richmond, San Francisco Bay Area is a very progressive area of California. A lot of the senior executive elected officials either come out of San Francisco or Los Angeles. We've had a few out of San Diego from my area, but it's uncommon.
Yeah.
So you've really had to thread that needle as someone who works in law enforcement. You're the police union leader, as the president, and having to deal with the elected officials because, there's that one, and I don't know who actually said it, but I think it's attributed to Ron DeLorde, where he says, police union members are, they have the democratic needs, but with a Republican philosophy.
Definitely. You might be paraphrasing it. You might actually have it 100%. But yeah, that's a great phrase because it's 100% correct. Although some of us are Democrats too, but like the sheriff, moderate Democrats, and I think we all have a good understanding of public safety, though, and that's what we all want. And something coming from the Bay Area, and being a POA president for 8 years, have to thread the needle a lot, have to work with a lot of different people with lots of different interests. Sometimes folks that are not very fond of law enforcement, and you have to be able to coexist in an environment, both just literally and then politically at the same time, and find ways to work well within the communities that you serve. And I think coming from the Bay Area is extremely helpful in that regard because it allows me to take issues that I've developed, as a POA president and then as board of director in PORAC, and folks that I've had to work with and build relationships with, and then to show other folks in other parts of the state, like, here's how we can work with other people, here's how we can build relationships, here's how you can advance your POA and DSA to get what you need for your members.
And I think that's really what's unique about PORAC is in a sense that, we have our 15 chapters, we have our 4 regions, and, you go to these chapter meetings, and then if going to the region meetings, and then having the board of directors meetings and the executive committee meetings is the ability for us to talk about issues that are localized. So, in Richmond, you may be dealing with some issues, and they could be very similar to some of the issues I dealt with in San Diego or vice versa. By being a member of PORAC, that provides you an opportunity to say, hey, when we do the roundtable discussion, these are some of the concerns and issues I'm having. Well, somebody may hear that and be like, hey, you know what? I had a similar issue, and here's what we did to be successful, to which then now you can take back
absolutely
directly to your association or to your chapter. And I think that is why PORAC is so important in the state of California, and that increasing the recruiting and retention so everybody's a member within the state, I think just benefits public safety for the entire state.
Totally. I think that's why PORAC is so successful, and one of the things that I'm happy to be here. I feel it's a privilege really to work in this position, even just in a month's time, to be able to talk to folks in different parts of the state and identify issues and work those issues through. To me, again, it's a privilege because there's a lot of information to be shared, and to kind of till the soil and help folks do that both at the chapter level or in a region or at the board of directors up here. Like, we all face similar issues, like you said, and we should be helping each other out. Public safety members taking care of other public safety members. Like, we need to do that, and PORAC is the vehicle to make that happen.
Well, why don't we take a step back a little bit and talk about some of your personal life, in the sense that you have your bachelor's degree from the University of San Francisco, and you're working on your master's degree now?
In my last year, my graduate school, my master's in public administration.
That's awesome, man. That's great. What do you do, like, locally with some of the local community stuff? I mean, I always felt like, when you're in association leadership, you're representing the members, but you're sort of quasi-representing the department in a lot of facets too.
Absolutely.
With community work. And what are you doing on that end?
You do. So I've worked with several different organizations. I serve on a couple different nonprofit boards. One, we have a Police Activities League, our PAL, Richmond PAL. So I've participated in that for a long time. As a POA leader, I think I totally agree with you. You have to be engaged in the community. And so being a part of that board, made absolute sense to me. It's like, why wouldn't we be a part of it is really, the question. Other programs and groups, I work with the firefighters. We have a Richmond Police and Fire a holiday program, which provides basically food for the holidays and toys for about 500 families in West Contra Costa County. So you have to have that level of involvement, and then that way, folks see that you're serious, you're legitimate. The elected officials see that you're legitimate. That hey, this is who we are. This is I represent these cops, and this is what we're about. You have to have engagement, and that means participating. Folks come to us all the time. Hey, can we ask? They need money for our backpack giveaway. They need money for some type of scholastic scholarship, things like that. And you have to be out there for folks and be engaged in your community, and know what those needs are and meet them and help be out there so folks know that yes, we're cops, we're law enforcement. However, we are people who, the reason why we're in this job is because we care about the communities that we serve. And so that engagement, I think, is extremely important. And if you're a POA president or a DSA president, you need to be out there in front of folks, showing, hey, this is the way. This is us leading. And I think it's really important, and it trickles down into your organization.
I think you build credit by investing back into the community that you're serving, because obviously you work for the department, you're being paid by the county or the city that you're working in, so they're investing in you to provide services to keep the community safe. And the union has the opportunity to invest back into the community with the members, whether you're donating your time or you're donating money to the programs that you talked about. So, I think that is critical. And like I said, it just really goes back to being able to provide a voice for
it does. And then when you talk to people, because it provides the human side of the badge, so to speak. And then when you go to folks and you're like, hey, we're having this issue, then people, you have a relationship with people. And just the other day I had someone reach out to me, hey, can we use your local POA hall for a event on suicide prevention? And absolutely, no problem. Because again, these relationships, understand that those people are going to have effect other people, and it's going to spread out in the community. When unfortunately, because of the nature of our work, a lot of times we meet people in some type of crisis or something negative, and then that is always unfortunately been used against us in the past by the media, by politicians with agendas. And they just, they try to paint us into this corner of this is all law enforcement is, this is all we do. And that's not the reality. And so any way that we can work on that, to show that is not what law enforcement is, I think we need to do that. And again, it starts, that's how your POA and DSA can be a factor in changing those narratives.
I agree with you. And it's been great talking to you about that, and I'm happy you're on board. If somebody wants to get a hold of you, how can they reach out to you?
Reach out to me, vicepresident@porac.org. That's the email. My cell phone is on everything as well. Feel free to contact me anytime. If obviously there's a lot of people throughout the state, but I field all phone calls and return all emails, and I want to make sure that that I represent PORAC members at the highest level and get the answers that people need to get through whatever problems they have, or find someone who can.
Yeah, absolutely. And if your association needs more information as a PORAC member, Ben is always available to provide that. And Ben or myself, if you need information, or we can direct you to the trusts. If it's an issue related to insurance and benefits, a retiree medical trust, or the legal defense, we can make sure that we put you in contact with the region rep that can assist you and facilitate getting your questions, your answers to your questions.
Right.
So again, thanks, Ben. Looking forward to working with you, and excited for what the future holds.
Thanks, Brian. Happy to be here.
This wraps up another episode of On the Job with PORAC. On this episode, we had our new PORAC Vice President, Ben Therriault, and he provided us some valuable insights into to his history and how he came to be the PORAC VP. So until next time, keep fighting the good fight and stay safe out there.